Good morning and welcome to the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios. The Browns' Deshaun Watson didn't speak at yesterday's presser, but teammates vocalized their excitement about his return this Sunday. A source close to Watson told the Sports Carnival he's ready to go and is confident it'll have a happy ending either way. Here's your host, Dave Kearney.
You know, that's one thing you can always count on Deshaun Watson for. He doesn't play football in 700 days, but he does miss a media availability. That's a good thing because you haven't been playing professional football in 700 consecutive days, which is, if my math is correct, a little bit about 2 years, right? Close to 2 years.
Well, ironic to take that much time off and still be one of those teammates that's hands-on.
Oh, look at you. Loving this stuff this morning. Mike Byers, our favorite Wisconsin, who is from Texas. I was going to say, what is it? Our favorite Texan, Wisconsin. That's what we're calling him. He knows all about being the Wis Texan. He knows all about being hands-on. Mike's a hands-on kind of guy. At least that's what I hear from people that talk to Mike when he comes out to our parties. They're like, dude, that guy is a hands-on sort of fella. And speaking of parties last night, Chad, we're going to play a little piece from my TikTok page that I posted last night, a small video clip.
TikTok page.
From my TikTok at the Sports Party. Don't fuck around. You know we're promoting this thing on all the social media platforms.
The Chinese communists are good for something. That is true. Yeah.
Thank you. And except for the fact that they booted Little Doobies from TikTok, which I can't understand why. They've got all sorts of the most weird and wild stuff that's on TikTok, but Little Doobies couldn't be there. That's fine. But I'm going to show a video from the party last night. I digress. What a party it was at the recovery room. Thank you all so very much for showing up in force. And I mean this, in force. Our friends from West Salem, Contractor Supply, Kevin, and the whole crew, they showed up, and they showed up strong. Don Weber, who essentially, Chad, I was telling you about this, is like the king of lacrosse, is the man credited with the revitalization of the city's downtown area, was in the house having some drinks and enjoying some revelry. We had our friend Mike Byers, of course, I mentioned that. Todd Vercruyze, the Coos, showed up looking dapper in one of his incredibly fun hats. You're wearing one of them right now. His was black. It was better. It's not a big deal. But the Coos came out. Our friends from up in Trempealeau, Neil Duda and Debbie showed up last night. It was a blast, man. I'm going to tell you, it was one of the, and my mom came too, Chad. She said it was the busiest she had ever seen this place in her entire life. Now, she had not been there for some of our other previous summer and springtime parties, which tend to get a little more wild. You've got a patio outside and people can enjoy in various forms of revelry that way too. But it was packed, dude, and it was awesome. So thank you all so much for coming out. And we have a big announcement to make on this morning's show. Who won those Bucks tickets and who won the Bucks tickets that come with $200 in cash? See, this is where Matt at the recovery room really failed me. He didn't exactly tell me exactly how this promotion was going to run in certain cases as far as the cash was concerned. So I thought that was a separate prize. No, you're winning the Bucks tickets. You're going to the Fiserv Forum next week, the 7th of December, to see the Bucks take on the Kings, and you're also getting $200 in cash. Now, I'm going to save that for about 5 minutes or so because we've got some other prizes to announce the winners of. You did not need to be present to win. But, man, this was a great party, and I know the guy that's won is going to be very, very happy. Very happy.
Speaking of winning, the Bucks ended up winning, and so did the Celtics. I didn't get to see the whole Bucks game, but I was watching the Celtics game. As once that game concluded, it switched over to the Bucks game, and I was able to see Grayson Allen's nice little dagger three to kind of put the game away, which was pretty cool. So, and that was like right when I tuned in, Giannis fouled out, and
you tuned in right at the very end, then,
which they did replay. It was definitely a foul. I mean, he definitely fouled, so it definitely was a foul. And then Grayson Allen hit that three, and I was pretty happy. So it was a good night all the way around, it sounds like.
It was a great night all the way around. I'll be frank with you. I only say that because my name is Dave, so I'm going to be frank right now because normally I'd bullshit you, but this time I'm going to be serious. I didn't watch much of the game. I saw a few plays, right? Like I was tangentially able to over my shoulder glance at it from time to time. But when it got close at the end, everybody's attention went to the Bucks game, right? Like everybody's attention. And this is where we're going to get more into the Bucks later, but this is where Grayson Allen, to me, is such a perfect fit for this team. And I know that in the postseason last year, after that Bulls series, he really struggled. He really did. And that was somebody, Grayson Allen, that a lot of Bucks fans pointed their fingers at and said, hey, you're one of the reasons that we lost. And he was probably a reason in some cases the Bucks weren't successful. but he hit 7 threes the other night, right, in a game that the Bucks had to have. And then last night doesn't hit a three until it really matters. And this is the difference between Grayson Allen and Aaron Rodgers right now. You can count on Grayson Allen when you really need him, man. Aaron Rodgers, if it was the fourth
got an angle away to shit on Aaron Rodgers.
He'd be throwing up some bricks, baby.
The other part about the Grayson Allen thing is, and this is going to be a pun, but they were duking it out, if you will. RJ Barrett, he shot it over, and then RJ Barrett comes down and tries to shoot a three, and he bricks it, which was beautiful. And then they go back and forth, they jaw a little bit, which was kind of cool to see. As a Duke fan, I appreciated it.
Oh God, a Duke fan.
I know. I like Duke.
Listen, John Shire. That's what I'm going to tell you. John Shire. Let's not go to Duke right now. We've got Wisconsin basketball fans here. I see that foul number 5 for Giannis was a bogus one. I don't know. I didn't watch it. And believe me, they didn't go through that on the highlights this morning that I was watching Giannis's foul. I'll take your word for it. The point is this. Giannis, for the 5th consecutive game, Chad, scored over 30 points and shot over 50% from the field. The guy is the MVP. And Luka Doncic said as much the other night after the Bucks beat the Mavericks. He said Giannis is the best player in the NBA right now.
Jason Tatum's making an argument.
Listen, he's making an
argument. The difference between MVP and best player, because if the best player was an award, Michael Jordan would have won it every year.
Okay.
LeBron James would have won it 10 years in a row. So it's about storylines, and I have a feeling that the storyline is leaning towards either Doncic, Luka, or Jason Tatum right now. Problem with Giannis is because you're a multi-time MVP, you got to be even super exceptional than you ever have been. And I'm not saying he can't do that, but I'm saying right now, I think Tatum's got a lead right now, in my opinion.
Well, Jason Tatum scored 28 points in the first half last night. Boston rolls, right? But there's also this guy named Jaylen Brown had 36 points. And you've got a whole bunch of guys on the Boston Celtics that are also very good. And I think the Bucks, if you look at where they're at right now,
I'm not saying he doesn't.
To Giannis's credit, he's without his other All-Star. And Drew Holiday, one of the other All-Stars, has been a little spotty. He did have a good game last night from what I saw, though. Joey Miller's checking in with us this morning, Chad. We got a lot of gambling stuff to talk about this morning. A lot of gambling stuff. As a matter of fact, if you want to do some gambling, and I know that you do, you're going to want to do it with us and BetUS. We've been teasing this. BetUS is now an official part of the Sports Carnival. And when we come back, we'll make a lot of announcements. What the promo code is, who won last night's Bucks tickets, and so much more. John Denton joins us at 8:30. Stay tuned. What can I say? The Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi Street is not only my favorite bar in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin, it's my favorite restaurant in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin. Breakfast served 8 to noon, Saturday and Sundays, daily specials, incredible cocktails, and the best damn wait staff in the entire city. My buddy Matt knows how to treat you right, and that's why when you go to the Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi, you're always going to have a great time and a great meal with a great cocktail. So if you haven't been in a while, or perhaps you're just a regular and you want to stop in again, make it a thing. I'm there every single week. How about you?
Hello, I am Don Francisco, and I roast and blend coffees for your pleasure and mine. My newest blend is Vanilla Nuts. The coffee so rich and so sweet, it tastes like the French Alps has dangled its in your cup of java. If you love coffee like I do, then you'll love Don Francisco's with a 135-year tradition. Because at Don Francisco's, if you're up all night, so are we.
Broadcasting live from the Trauma Center Studios. This is the Sports Carnival. Now for the guy who's never wrong. One time he thought he was wrong, but he was mistaken. There's your host, Dave Carney.
It reminds me of this time we were on air in Vegas, Chad, and I was doing a bit, and they actually thought this was serious because we actually pretended to be serious on a news station. But I was doing a bit about KFC and how it is that they groomed and raised their chickens. And I remember we had a sales rep, Mark DiAugustino, I think his name, if I'm remembering it correctly.
I don't remember that guy.
Yeah, he wasn't there for long. But
okay.
Anyways, Mark was listening to it in the car, and boy, he came up to the station or the studio afterwards, and he's like, I just heard what you were saying, and it was wrong. It was really, really wrong. But damn it, you argued it so well. I couldn't even think of a way to tell you that it was wrong. And that's one of the great things about me. Is even if it's complete bullshit, I'm going to sell that. I'm going to sell that complete bullshit as hard as anybody that you've ever had sell some bullshit. And because of that, people tend to not argue with it too much, which is, listen, I don't have a lot of skills. That's one of them. Just saying. I don't have a lot. That's one of them. I can't build you a house. I can't really start you a fire without matches and some kindling, but I can sell you some bullshit. That's for sure.
All right, Facebook user. LeBron was not the best player for 10 years in a row.
That's
not only do you not know how to spell his name, you are incorrect. Well, again, MVP and best player are two different things, and that's why I think they should separate those awards, honestly.
So you know what they could do? It'd be like in the NFL, offensive player of the year and then the MVP, because you could do something like offensive player of the year and then you could do MVP. All right, Chad, I don't know if your fingers are ready to do any sort of button pushing, because we do have some celebratory buttons that we have on our boards and such. We hadn't really planned for this, but I want to give.
Oh, you want me to? Okay, hold on.
I'm just thinking. I want to give out some good news here, because there's.
I don't know if I have anything, but I'll check.
Okay, we have stuff like maybe some little claps or something like that. I know we've got some little claps, but I want to give out some good news this morning, because I promised that I would, and we've got to let those that were not in attendance last night at the recovery room know who won this pair of Bucks tickets that goes along with $200 in cash. Who won some of these gift certificates that we have to give away from the recovery room. So where do we want to start? Do we want to go in descending or ascending order? Should we start from the top or should we go from the bottom?
Well, unfortunately, I took all of the applause and stuff out of Mike because I had to make room for bed. So I don't have any of the whistles and bells and stuff. If you want to do it on your end, you're more than welcome. Let's start from the top. No, let's start from the bottom and go up.
Okay, we'll start from the bottom and go up. That's Chad's general way of doing things.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so we're going to start from the bottom. $25 gift certificate. This is to the Recovery Room Bar and Grill. This is Neil Duda's.
Duda!
For the taken, Neil Duda, congratulations, buddy. Thank you so much for coming out last night. I know it wasn't a short drive from Trempealeau, and both Neil and Debbie came in from Trempealeau area and had themselves some fun.
There we go. There's for Neil.
There we go. Look at you. Your production skills, they're picking right back up. You didn't win producer of the year for no good fucking reason. Okay.
I'm going to leave this. I'm going to leave this underneath all of your announcements, because that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. This is better. I've been asking for this for a while. You weren't a fan, so we went away from it. All right. So how about a $50 gift certificate, Chad? How about a $50 gift certificate to our friend here in La Crosse? She actually won this from Facebook, one of our Facebook group members, right? Because if you were a group member, if you were a subscriber to our YouTube page, or if you went to the recovery room, you had a chance to win. Jackie Miller is the winner of a $50 gift certificate to the recovery room. Chad, Jackie Miller is also the artist who created the Sports Carnival logo.
Oh,
Jackie Miller, thank you very much for your contributions to the program, and congratulations. Okay, so the Yuengling, we pronounced this all wrong. The beer, the Yuengling beer, okay, which is coming from Matt's own private reserve. Matt Ellens' own private reserve goes to, oh boy, I'm going to really mess this name up. Matt, and we're going to call you because I've got your phone number. I can't pronounce his last name because I can't read it. But his name's Matt, and it starts with an A, goes AM something. I've got your phone number. Matt, congratulations. You've got yourself that Yuengling six-pack. That's going to be good. And now, without further ado, the big winner of the Milwaukee Bucks tickets to go see the Bucks and the Kings, along with $200 in cash, is one of our favorites here on the show, Chad. Mike Garcia from Land Home Financial. He won.
Yeah, nice.
Woo! Mike wasn't even there last night, but Mike drank a fucking quart of whiskey and vodka throughout the night. He got himself into the run-in big time. There were a lot of people that did a lot of quality drinking to get themselves into the running. And let me tell you, there were a lot of sad faces in that crowd last night when they're like, what? You could see almost like the doubling over at the hip. Like, this is what I did all this incredible drinking for. Yes, it was. And it was for a good cause, because you went to support the recovery room. You supported us here on the program. And Chad, here's the other fun thing. Mike Byers was asking about this last night too at the recovery room. I've got a picture, and I posted this on my Facebook page, or I will later. I've got a picture on my phone though, of the incredible mountain of entry slips that are inside of this big cooler. All of those that did not win last night are automatically entered for our next big giveaway we're doing right before Christmas, 43-inch flat screen TV.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
these Bucks tickets, don't worry. We've got a whole lot of other stuff too. I've got a list. It's in one of my pockets. Give me a little bit of room here. Last night I came home, I like threw my clothes off and I jumped into bed because we had ourselves a bit of a party last night. Mike, I see that you're checking in. Jameson, buddy. Yeah.
That was his incentive. That's all he needed.
Congratulations, Mike. Listen, it was well worth the drink. And now you get to go to the Bucks game on the 7th versus the Kings, and you get $200 in cash. This way you get to really live it up a bit at the Fiserv Forum. It takes care of your parking. It takes care of your first, well, let's see, with $200, 2 beers, right? And possibly a pretzel.
Yeah, that's the only thing. The $200 will, it's about maybe 3 beers and some nachos.
The one thing that we know is that Mike will make good use of the money because he is a seasoned financial pro over at the Midwest mortgage team, Land Home Financial. As I mentioned to you, Todd Vercruyze, the Coos came out last night. Boy, he's a fan of his new business too. That thing is starting to really get some traction out here in town. When you mention Todd Vercruyze's hot tubs and jacuzzis, people just start going, "Sop your mop. Sop your mop." This is happening. This is happening. Yes, this is happening.
Yeah, gas there and back. Yeah, $200. That's about a tank for most people, right?
Well, I don't know what Mike's driving for $200 for back to. It's 3 hours. Like what? To get there on one tank. What?
Well, I'm just saying to fill your tank's about $200, correct?
Well, it depends on what you drive. And most people out here, like on the West Coast, you see a lot of like sports cars and a lot of cars that cost a lot of money. Out here, it's all the trucks that cost $150,000, right? Okay. Like the King Ranch edition of the Ford F-150 or whatever those things are, the Denali edition, the Harley Davidson edition. I'm like, but that's a motorcycle. And it's on a truck. I mean, it makes sense. I suppose the emblem is very cool, but I'm like, is it a motorcycle truck or what's the tie-in here? I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter. It's a cool emblem.
Matt's either doing some kind of.
This is where Mike's gonna sit.
Oh, I thought that was. I think he was doing some coding here. I said that's pretty wicked.
He might be doing some coding, but I don't know if he's doing coding.
Oh, okay, nice.
So it's section 116, row 18, seat 12. Section 116, row 18, seat 13. Cool. All right.
Cool.
Those are actually really good tickets too. Section 116. I've been to the Fiserv, I don't know, half a dozen or more times. You can't really get a bad seat. I mean that sincerely. Even in the nosebleeds, you're not, the way that they built it, the folks on the floor can still throw shirts up to you, and they have people that come to every single level to engage with prizing. So you can't get a bad one, but those look like good seats. And Mike, again, is checking in, our favorite Texan in Wisconsin. The Recovery Room pizzas were delish. Thanks, Matt. He had a spread. I mean, for our party goers last night, he had a whole spread laid out. It was awesome.
Well, and Mike has some other knowledge here. How'd you say that? Yingling
Brewery, oldest in America. Wow.
I don't know if we can verify that, but
I believe Mike. I do. Mike would have that kind of knowledge. That's why he was our inflation calculation committee lead chair member and our national calendar correspondent. That's why Mike got those titles in that job.
I love it.
I do too. I also love gambling, Chad, and I know that our sports betting insider, John Denton, is going to be coming up soon at about 8:30 this morning. We'll be talking to JD. He's got some plays for us in college and the NFL. To be honest, I couldn't tell if his plays were college basketball or college football because one of the games I couldn't find a matchup for. So we'll ask him if those are college football or college basketball plays that he is making. But I do know what his NFL picks are. And as a matter of fact, one of the NFL plays that he makes is the subject of this morning's poll question on our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney and on our Facebook group page. What do you like the most in tonight's Buffalo-New England game from a betting perspective? Do you like the total? Do you like Buffalo Buffalo minus the points, the Patriots plus the points? Do you want to make a play for one of the two teams on the money line if you feel strongly about one side or the other? Climb this morning's Sports Carnival poll, again, Twitter at the Sports Carney and on our Facebook group page, and give me your thoughts there. But before we get into any of that, like the particularities of tonight's game, we've got another major announcement. We've been teasing it, and Joey Miller, a number of other folks have been reaching out and asking, Dave, when are you going to tell us how we can sign up with you at BetUS? Right now, this morning, this is how we're going to tell you. Right now, go to betus.com.pa, betus.com.pa, and join. If you already joined, forget it. Empty that out. Empty the account out and start a new one because you're going to get a 125% deposit match for your sportsbook play when you use the promo code Carnival. That's it. CARNIVAL, Carnival. betus.com.pa, a 125% deposit match, Chad, on deposits up to $2,500. So for simple math, because I get a little off when I go into the 2,500 range, but for simple math, if you deposit $100 today with us at betus.com.pa, use the promo code Carnival, you'll get another $125 in free play money. Okay, so you put in $100, they give you $125 free, and they will continue to do that, guys, all the way up to your deposit amount of $2,500. We're going to have so much more to roll out with BetUS. They're working with us, Chad, in a really, really robust way, and we're so glad for their partnership. We're going to be working with the recovery room in a really interesting way to really kind of spur some of this action on. But for this evening's plays, go online, betus.com.pa, sign up using the promo code Carnival, and claim your free deposit bonus. Even if you've got another account with another website or another bookie, whatever, you're still going to get free money when you sign up with us and use the promo code Carnival. So if you're going to make wagers, make some with your free play money tonight. Again, betus.com.pa and use the promo code Carnival. Chad, it's 125% free. Why not? You've got to get on it. And we're going to be doing bets right along with everybody else and showing everybody what we're doing too.
Yeah, and not to mention it helps support the show. So if you have any interest in doing that whatsoever, other than obviously listening and watching, which we appreciate, this is another way to do it. You can have a lot of fun doing it. And you ask the poll question, and I just happen to have an answer for you.
Okay.
I like the Patriots plus the points, but I don't necessarily like the 4. I would tease it if I could. And I haven't looked into the details on where you could tease it to, but if you could tease it to 6,
you could easily do a 6-point teaser if you wanted to. Yeah.
I think that makes sense to me. I think that this, the Bills are vulnerable in my opinion, and you got Belichick coaching. I think on a primetime, slot, I'm favoring the Patriots plus the points.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that play. I see what you're saying. I really do, because Buffalo has been a little shaky, but realize they were out of their home stadium for one of those games. They've been 2 in a row in Detroit because they had that weather event. But
Pats are at home,
though. That's true. And they're awful with Mac Jones. He had a good game against the Vikings. There's only been one game this year Mac Jones has thrown over 2 touchdowns. It was versus Minnesota. The Minnesota's defense isn't good. But here's my point. If you wanted to tease that, so say you took New England plus 3.5 and you teased it, you used another 6 points. You have to tie at least one more game into it. That's when I would start to look at something like, and this is a game that I actually really like on the money line, but I would tease it like this. With Tennessee, the Titans are 4.5-point dogs against the Eagles. I love Tennessee's defense. I love their running game. And if you saw what we saw against the Eagles, what the Green Bay Packers did, and I'm sure that all of our audience members did, you saw the same thing that I did. They can't stop the run either. Derrick Henry is going to fuck those guys up, and Ryan Tannehill is good enough to get it done. I like Tennessee in this game a lot. So what I would do is I would go with you on this one and say take New England plus 9.5 if you did a 6-point teaser, and then juice Tennessee plus 6 points. So you get the Titans plus 10.5. I mean, I'll take Tennessee plus 10.5 versus Philadelphia any day. And I'd probably make a separate wager Tennessee on the money line, because that right now is good value. That's a really good value.
So you can't just tease one team.
No, you need at least 2. You got to have 2. So it's like a parlay, right? You've got to be able to tie 2 in together in order to tease it. Now, what you can do is buy points, right? So if you want to
buy your points, I'm thinking I like 6 makes me feel more comfortable. If I was just to bet it by itself and buy points up to 6.
Well, then you would be paying so much vig that it wouldn't even make the win
not worthwhile. Okay.
So that's why you would tease this one. But again, I think that was a perfect segue into something that I had meant to talk about anyways. I'm going to go ahead and give you an early Dave's Daily play. Tennessee plus 4.5. Tennessee on the money line. I really do believe that this week the Eagles are vulnerable. Watching Philadelphia sneak one out against Indy, watching them nearly lose to Aaron Hobbled Rodgers and Jordan Love. Not to say that Philly's not a good team, but I talked about it with Kyle Cable earlier this week when we were chatting about this real estate deal we're doing. I told him, dude, the Eagles remind me a lot more of the Steelers when they were 11-0 with Big Ben a few years back than they remind me of the Kansas City Chiefs that went 14-2 a couple of seasons ago and won a Super Bowl, right? It's not that they're a fugazi team, because I like where Philly is, but I don't think they're the type of team that you can give up 4.5. And if you juiced up Tennessee another 6 points, they're not the type of team that you can give up 10.5 points to. So that's where I think that you and I are on to this. We could make that a wager. We'll do tonight's game and we'll put it together with Tennessee. Okay. Who knows? Maybe we'll do our first ever joint bet, because like I've mentioned, guys and gals, Chad and I are going to be betting right along with you at betus.com.pa. Again, use the promo code Carnival, get your free 125% deposit match. But maybe we'll do that as our first bet. We'll see how it rolls.
Morning Wood, does Vegas let you bet on college volleyball? I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, I don't see why not.
But if anybody does, it would be betus.com. I would imagine, because they have everything up there.
I know. I'm actually going to look at this right now, because while we're talking about it, I think that
why wouldn't they? So while you're doing that, the other game I like, and I know we're going to have John coming up here, but just tell me what your thoughts are on this. I'm kind of on a Lions bandwagon right now. I like the Lions on the money line, because I think the spread is either even or it's 1 point, something like that. The Lions are at home. They play the Jags. It'd be minus 110 on the money line. What are your thoughts on that bet?
I like it. I like the Lions a lot right now. I think that the Lions are playing with a lot of fire, a lot of passion. The record at 4-7 again is better than the Green Bay Packers. Just saying, throwing this out there. The Lions are right now better than Green Bay. They beat Green Bay. They're a better team right now. Yeah, I think you could feel good about this. Now, Jacksonville is going to be a little overinflated from that victory last week against Baltimore, right? So I think that you're right on this, because you get a little bit of extra.
It's a letdown game.
It is, and I think that you get Vegas looking to get you tricked into not taking the play, because you're looking at Jacksonville and you're seeing where they're at and what they did last week. And listen, Doug Marrone had a very good, positive. Doug Peterson. I said Doug Marrone. Doug Peterson had a very good, positive locker room speech afterwards, and I could see the players. I saw some of the inside were very excited. And look, Jacksonville's not as terrible as they were with Urban Meyer for sure, but I like that play. I mean, Urban Meyer was just an unmitigated disaster. And I'll just be this guy right here, because, Chad, as you know, I sell bullshit, not much else. I called that thing from the fucking start. When that dude walked in and brought buddy Tim Tebow in, who hadn't played football in a decade, to try out as a tight end, a position he had never played, I like, well, he lost that locker room. That one just went right out the window. This wasn't the USFL. And then he hired Steve Doyle, the guy that had just gotten fired from Iowa for being like a devout racist and a yeller of people. And I was like, wait, you're going to bring this guy in? And then he stayed behind in Columbus when they were there after a loss to the Bengals one time. You're like, oh, this is going to end so badly. I knew that would happen. I was very, very gratified, because at that time in our lives, we were just getting out of COVID. There wasn't a whole lot to be stoked about. Like, being stoked about Urban Meyer just eating shit really kind of, it helped.
That made your day. Yeah.
It did.
It's like when Nick Saban ever eats shit. Hey, real quick, this is what's making me so excited about this bet. .us is Morning Wood asking questions about future bets on women's volleyball.
You know what?
That is awesome.
They have international volleyball. I'm looking up here right now. They've got the Brazil Superliga. They've got the Brazil Superliga Women, and they've got the Poland Plus Liga. But they don't have college volleyball, at least not right now. I don't have odds for this up here right now. Morning Wood, let me just go ahead and let you in on a little secret. That shit's really niche. I mean, it's like up there with darts. I mean, like, really, you've got like volleyball is as niche as like darts, and betting on like, you remember Matchbox races and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Going to like the indoor electric car track and stuff. It's like betting on that. It's almost like betting on which of Jason Preacher's little mini horses is going to take a shit first. I mean, like, they're very, very. Oh, it's fine.
Oh, sorry. He says he's got no
clue. No, it's fine. But
no, I like there. Listen, I like where his head's at. I like his enthusiasm. I think that anybody that wants to put future bets on women's volleyball is right in our target audience. I love it. I think it's great. That means we'll gamble on anything, literally. That's great. And remember, it does make the WNBA more interesting. So keep that in mind.
Hey, by the way, big WNBA news. Big WNBA news. The WNBA is going to play a record 40 games this coming season. I have no idea how many games they played in a season. There will be 40 WNBA contests to be able to wager on. Isn't that something?
That is absolutely amazing. Yes.
This is something from, you look at this from Maddie from the recovery room. He's like, more coding for Chad. Yeah, some codeine for Matt and some coding for you, Chad. 103, 95, and 6 Packers Bears all-time record this weekend. One team moves ahead, and it should be Rowdy Bears to cover. All right, we'll see. I think it's going to be interesting too. The Bears and the Packers right now are a team that we'll have to talk about. I don't know if John Denton's got any thoughts on it, but I'm sure that we all do. The Bears they're 5.5-point dogs. They're giving Green Bay a lot of love in this one. Stay tuned, guys and gals. We'll talk some more sports betting with our sports betting insider, John Denton, former UNLV quarterback, here on the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios.
Now more than ever, if you're looking to buy or sell your first home or perhaps an investment property, you need a full-time dedicated real estate agent who is up to date on all the latest trends and analysis and is ready to give you the kind of service that you deserve. That's why the official real estate agent and the official real estate partner of the Sports Carnival is Kyle Cable of OneTrust Real Estate. Whether you're looking to buy or sell your first home or perhaps you are a seasoned investor, call the official real estate agent partner of the Sports Carnival, Kyle Cable of OneTrust Real Estate.
Preferred Insurance is the official auto, home, business, flood, and life insurance agency of the Sports Carnival, serving folks in La Crosse and surrounding areas with licenses in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. As an independent insurance agency, Preferred Insurance is free to find the very best insurance for you, your family, or your business needs. Call my friends at Preferred Insurance today and set up a free consultation. Remember, working with an independent agency means Preferred Insurance works for you, with you, to find the best solutions at the best prices.
Back to the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios. Have you ever wondered why the word abbreviation is such a long word? That makes sense to you? Doesn't make sense to you. Now here's your host, Dave Carney.
Oh, good shit right there. Chad Forrester, producer at large. When he presses the buttons right and he comes up with good jokes, this thing just cooks. It really does. Welcome back. Thanks to our friends Kyle Cable, OneTrust Real Estate, the Midwest Mortgage Team, Mike Garcia, our big winner last night. Chad, of those Milwaukee Bucks tickets, Todd Vercruzzi, the Coos, Tony Rausa, and Brian Sandmeyer, Preferred Insurance. Tony wasn't able to get out of the house yesterday. I know he's been having a big change in life. Tony just bought a beautiful new house right on the river in La Crosse. Oh my gosh. I won't tell you the address, but man, it is gorgeous. So I know he's had some things going on. Sean O'Neill from the O'Neill Law Firm had like legal things. Oh wait, no, he had his kids last night. So he wasn't able to make it. And Joe.
There are legal things as well, actually.
Yeah, those are legal things. You know, that's very true. Well said. Joe from Helping Hands Landscaping, he was busy. But we thought about you. Jimmy Namath and I, we in spirit partied for all of you. That is for sure. You can always count on myself, Jimmy, Ethan from American Construction, who's also a softball coach at UWL. You can always count on us really picking up the slack for you guys. Okay, so when you can't party, you just let us know, and we take care of that for you. Somebody who used to get in trouble for partying when he was in college, John is joining us here on the program.
You don't want to talk about that.
Jimmy, you know, well, you're a good boy, and you have been for so long that we can say that now, and everybody's cool. JD, you've been making the rounds here recently, brother. The UNLV Rebels firing their football coach, and you know, a lot of folks looking to you for some insight. Can we start there? Because I'm curious to get your take on what has been, you know, out west anyways, and in Las Vegas, a pretty hot topic.
Yeah, it was, you know, obviously we had the rivalry game with Reno the previous week and won the Cannon. You know, all the players and kind of, you know, the fan base was on a high, and, you know, Sunday afternoon, news started leaking that, you know, they were firing Arroyo. And, you know, obviously my circle started getting crazy, and, you know, I started getting pings and left and right, and, hey, can you come on the shows, all this stuff, which was good. But yeah, when you look at it, you know, he was 7-23 over the last whatever years it was, right? The body of work wasn't there. There was a lot of good things happening in the program. I knew the strength coach personally, so I was in there, you know, as you know, in the summertime with those kids. So they were bigger, faster, and stronger than they ever had been, right? There was a lot of good things happening, but that some of those parts aren't enough to produce dubs. And I think what's happening is you have the Raiders. Obviously, there's been a private donor that's paying the $2.5 million out clause.
Really?
I don't think they've named it yet. So when you have some private money, like making a move like that, which is unprecedented usually in Vegas, because you and I know there's been tons and tons of money that flow through that city, and no one's ever really stepped up. And maybe when Patino was out on the market, remember that when Patino was on the market, They were about to give him like half of the Mirage and 3 Baccarat tables, right? So that's the last time I remember. That's the last time I remember really somebody prominent in Vegas, or even Vegas money standing behind it. But then, like I said, the Raiders are doing well. And when you look at the UNLV athletic department, almost all of their tier 1 sports are competing for championships across the board now. Volleyball, baseball, basketball is starting to see a resurgence, right? So, you got to make moves when the iron's hot.
Well, John, I think it's first of all, it's a great thing for Vegas because they've needed this for so long. When they hired that fucking high school coach from Bishop Gorman, I nearly lost my mind. I couldn't believe it because, at the time I was working with Jim Fossil, rest in peace, coach, and we were, it doesn't matter who was the AD at the time. She's not there anymore. She was doing a good enough job, but the idea that this kid from Bishop Gorman, who had a great success and track record at a high school level, was going to be able to come in and compete on a Division I level was just, at the time, it seemed asinine to me. And that set the program back years. It really did. It set the program back years. I know the recruiting aspect of this is going to be huge for UNLV because out west, you're competing against all the powers in the Pac-12. Then you've got the Mountain West, which has continued to develop. John, what kind of coach do you think UNLV can get that can help them not only on the field, but on that recruiting trail?
Yeah, I've been pretty staunch about a guy that I know fairly well. He's recruited a couple players that I've coached over the last few years, is Nick Rolovich. And again, people say, oh, he's got the lawsuit against Washington State. And, I think it's, again, when you look at that, there was some extenuating circumstances around that lawsuit, a time of, we've unprecedented times we've never seen. So you got to put that aside. And when you look at what you just said, recruiting, UNLV's getting talked about in circles of maybe joining that Pac-12 once these other teams lose. And it's because of basketball, really. But when you look at, again, Allegiant Stadium, the lure of Las Vegas, Pac-12 championship, which I'll have a play on later, is in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium, right? So I just think that you're looking at a guy that has won in the Pac-12. I mean, he's a little over 500 at Washington State. But what really gets me is that he's won at Hawaii. He's a 500 coach at Hawaii, right? So he can recruit kids to off the mainland. That's the hardest thing to do. But he can also get those kids in Hawaii to play for him. There's, I think he's the top pick in my choice. But you hear Gary Patterson, you hear these other coaches, which again, I think it's all up to the guesses at this point. But I like Nick Rolovich in this situation.
Jeremy Foreman likes Deion Sanders.
Oh.
Deion ain't going to take that job. Let me tell you that.
No.
I think it's a fun name to throw out there, though.
It's great. Deion's already basically said, yeah, Colorado offered me the job. I'm not taking that one either. Just letting you guys know.
It's too prime in Las Vegas for prime.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's a good way to put it.
Well, JD, let's transition. I appreciate you're taking a little, stroll with us down this UNLV trail. Let's talk about your plays for this upcoming weekend, because I told our audience this morning, I couldn't quite tell on one of them if it was a basketball or if it was a football play, so I didn't necessarily put the matchups. I figured we were talking about USC -3 in the championship game versus Utah. I figured you were talking about North Carolina versus Clemson, I believe, in the ACC championship game. Yeah. But then Washington State, I couldn't find a matchup for, so I didn't know if that was actually a basketball game.
So if you look at your phone right now live, you'll see that, hey, this text message came through that said Washington State was a deleted error. It should have been
understood. I did not look at that.
When I sent that email to you, it was like 5:05 this morning, something like that. So I was getting ready to get a workout in. I forgot to delete it, but
okay, yeah, that makes me feel better.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, these are college football. I haven't transitioned to basketball yet. I'm still holding on to that. Usually I get into that college basketball right around the first of the year, right around the start of the bowl games, when usually college starts to die out. But yeah, we'll start Friday night, man. We're going to go USC -3 versus Utah. It's actually a rematch of the October 5th meeting. If you guys remember, I think Utah edged them out. I think it was 43-42, I think.
That's right.
Late quarterback sneak, and Kyle Whittingham showed a set of cojones and went for the 2-point conversion. So they got that. Since then, I think USC's really separated themselves, in my opinion. Obviously, stakes are high for USC at this point, but the guy at the helm has been preaching expectations to be in this spot all year. He's been in this spot before. He's got the best player on the field, Caleb Williams. And when you look at the last game, really, USC was leading 28-14 almost at halftime. They had 12 penalties after half and a defensive collapse that obviously let Utah come back. It's hard to knock good teams twice. So give me the better team. Caleb Williams has over 700 yards passing in the last 2 weeks against UCLA and Notre Dame. Pretty decent defenses. Give me USC -3 in the championship game rematch.
Yeah, a lot of people, ESPN's analytics team are talking about Utah winning this game again. I'm going to tell you what, no fucking way. This is USC's, and they're not going to let this one slip away. John, again, I'm patting ourselves on the back here, but you and I called this when they hired USC Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma. We both said this was going to turn USC around, not in the long term, but in the short term. We weren't exactly sure that he would be a playoff-bound coach in his first year, but I don't think anybody should be truly that surprised. And this kind of ties back to that UNLV take we were just making. This is why UNLV needs to come correct and get a great coach, because the West Coast is chock full of talent. But these guys, Lincoln Riley, Chip Kelly, they're going to eat your lunch if you're not competitive on the recruiting trail. All right, now North Carolina +8. This is interesting because Clemson's been one of those teams, recent national champion winner, right? First overall draft pick in Trevor Lawrence, playing for the Jags. All that's great. Why do you like North Carolina +8 in this spot? Because this, I think, is an interesting pick.
Yeah, well, Chad, Dave, you guys know me. I have a slight thing for QBs, right? North Carolina has got a special one in Drake May. Clemson thought they had one in DJ Ungalele, right? Just thinking about how Notre Dame and South Carolina in this last in-state rivalry game exposed Clemson, opens the door for the blueprint. And I think it makes Clemson one-dimensional in this game. We talked about it. I think the quarterback for Clemson was 8 of 29, 99 yards.
8 of 29, 99 yards. Horrible.
Yeah,
Horrible.
I looked at that this morning. Again, in a showdown where you're in-state rivalry, they only lost by a point. But again, Drake May has thrown for 35 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. What I think, this has nothing to do with analytics or anything, but this game's in Charlotte. This dude's a gunslinger, a baller. It's his hometown, right? It's back in his hometown where his high school buddies, his family's going to be there, big time crowd with him. So give me the hometown gunslinger and the cover +8, possibly a outright money line play.
Yeah, I like that one. I actually think Chad and I were talking about Clemson last week. He had picked South Carolina to beat Clemson, or actually just he had them plus the points.
14 points, yeah.
So they're getting 14 points, and of course they win straight up 31-30. I think that Clemson is in a weak spot. If this game is going to be close, I can see this being a field goal or a touchdown at most. And like Chinongalele, Clemson really thought they had their next of those. You go from Deshaun Watson, you have Trevor Lawrence, you think, hey, this is going to be the next guy, and he just really isn't. John, this morning's Sports Carnival poll question on our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney and our Facebook group page is asking our audience members what their play for tonight's Buffalo-New England game is. So I'm just going to give you some early results, and then we'll talk about your play because you're going over 43.5. On our Facebook group page, we got 22% of those that have responded making that play. 33% for the over, and then we've got a smattering for Buffalo minus the points, the Patriots, and a Bills money line play. On our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney, 44.5% running away with it are making a total play. We don't get enough selections on Twitter to go over under, but they're using the total play. So let's talk about why you like the total as opposed to making a play on one of these two teams minus or plus the points.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't do our show on Monday or Sunday evening when the total was at 41.5.
That's fair.
So it's jumped almost 3 points since its opening line release. But I expect it to go higher. I expect it to go to like 45.5, maybe even 47, depending on the weather. I think the weather shows a little bit rain in the morning, but again, when you talk about these two teams, I don't think that's going to be a factor if it's light and chilly. But when you look at this, I think the Patriots have scored over 20 points in the last 3 or 4 games. That New York Jet game where it was 10-3, where there was kind of the horrible weather, I kind of throw that out. Bills have scored 28, 31, and 30 their last 3 games. So I like where these offenses are at when it sits in reference to the total of 43.5. And then I'll just 3 situational trends. Won't bore anybody with these long trends, but they equal out to about a 73, 74% angle on the over tonight. And they have to do with very intricate Thursday night teams that are throwing for over 61% completion percentages. So there's some intricate angles here that I'm looking at. But again, I expect some offense tonight on the Thursday night game in Foxborough. So give me the over.
All right. I like the overplay here too. As a matter of fact, the over on Thursday night football games, and John, thank you for not boring us with the very intricate details, but Thursday night games, for whatever reason, even for bad teams, they can be actually quite high scoring. I know Chad's like,
thanks for not boring us. That's
going down that rabbit hole. Your last play that we've got up here for our audience members, and if you're listening to us on Podbean, we'll just give you the details. We've got USC -3 in college, North Carolina +8 in college, Bills Patriots over 43.5, and the Jets Vikings over 44. This feels like a slam dunk. The Vikings can't stop a nosebleed. They win close games, but they cannot stop a nosebleed. And to his credit, I know that Mike White was playing against a depleted Bears team that Green Bay is going to be seeing coming up this weekend, but Mike White and this Jets team, they're a playoff team, right? Like this is one of the reasons that Robert Saleh had to go away from Zach Wilson, who was 5-2 as a starter. They've got guys. It's not like they don't have any guys on that team. They just needed somebody at quarterback who could let the guys do what they did. And that's what you heard from the Jets locker room, after the game, which they lost to the Patriots 10-3. They said, we just need to get the ball and start doing what we're doing. So I think Mike White's going to be just fine. This game is going to soar over 44. This might be a fucking first half total right here in this one on Sunday. It really might.
Yeah, well, I think it's evident, just before I get into the reason why I like to play, but I think it's evident when you watch when he plays in his 5 starts that, they open up the ball downfield, or maybe it's that he's not afraid to throw the ball downfield, right? Fair. I think that's probably more so than the play call, because I think they're probably still calling plays that are designed to go downfield. But when you're gun shy, and you're ready to get rid of it so quickly, right? It's a detriment to the offense. But anyway, I think Minnesota scores some points in this game. Obviously with their weapons at home, indoors, in the dome. But this play, again, as we just talked about, is really about Mike White and the production when he is live. He's averaging 28 points a game in his 5 starts with New York Jets. So these here intricacies, right? Over 4-1, the Vikings last 4 versus winning teams. And then you look at the over is 14-2 in the Vikings last 16 when they've rushed less for 90 yards the previous game. So it's a really intricate sample size, but 16 opportunities, and they're 14-2 against the spread after they have a terrible run game, which means to me they come out a little bit more focused, right? And they get after it on the offensive side. So give me that over 44.5.
Oh, I love this over. And I think tonight's Thursday Night Football game, too, is going to go over. People are going to look at this game and say, how did so many points get scored? And Josh Allen, listen, I know he's been a little banged up, but this dude can still sling it and he can run it. And he's my fantasy quarterback, and I need him today. I need him really bad because last week I lost my
They need this win, too. They need this win.
They really do. This is huge. There's a lot of implications in the AFC for this one. John, as always, we appreciate all of your time. I know you didn't listen earlier, so I'll just let you know now. BetUS is an official part of the show now. And if you sign up with the promo code Carnival, you're going to get 125% sportsbook match up to $2,500 on deposit. So let's get you up there.
I heard you talking about that. One quick note I'll put. I heard you guys talking about the betting volleyball. There's a guy that I used to work with that came in one day. They used to came into my office one day, and he was like, "Hey man, I got a really good lead on a game this weekend." And I said, "What is it?" And he was like, "Man, Russian table tennis. You got to bet it at 1 a.m."
Give him our promo code. We love that guy.
I was like Russian table tennis. He was like, "Yeah, I got a lead on it."
Oh man. Hey, only thing scarier is Russian roulette. All right, JD, have a good one. We'll talk to you next week, man.
Take care, guys.
The official mortgage team of the Sports Carnival is the Midwest Mortgage Team of Land Home Financial, my good buddies Mike Garcia and Todd Vercruzzi. Listen, we all know the mortgage industry is in a bit of an upheaval right now, and that's why it's more important than ever to go to a couple of guys that you can trust, a local operation right here in La Crosse. That is the Midwest Mortgage Team. Again, Michael Garcia and Todd Vercruzzi of Land Home Financial. Don't make a mistake with your mortgage needs. Go to the official mortgage provider of the Sports Carnival, the Midwest Mortgage Team, Mike Garcia and Todd Vercruzzi.
Do you have a wedding, anniversary party, or bat mitzvah coming up in your life? Then you need Hey Duda DJ Services, featuring Neil Duda, the Midwest M&M.
No doubt about it, I'm hammered, and that's every day. Brains are cloudy, dog.
Dropping sick beats while you enjoy your treats. No party is too big or too small. Quinceañeras, graduations, ice cream social, or cocktail parties. Whatever the celebration, Hey Duda is rocking the foundation.
Here we go again, back with all our friends. Here comes the pain.
Neil Duda.
Back to the action live from the Trauma Center Studios. This is the Sports Carnival. Remember, reward for a job well done is it's more work. So here's your host, Dave Kearney.
Yeah, baby. That's why, if you just don't try, then you're really not going to get asked to do a lot. I think this is where some people that I know have gone to school. They're like, well, if we just don't try, then we don't have to get asked about stuff, which, hey, listen, if you want to ask us about stuff, we'd love to tell you things. Kyle Cable was checking in here and said, big time picks. Yeah, we made some big time picks. You betcha. That's what we do on this piece. We make big time picks. And for what it's worth, John Denton, who's been on my program, Chad, for, I don't know, the last couple of years consecutively as a sports betting insider, and myself, we've clipped really well. I mean, we had at one point tracked everything for, I want to say, about 300 consecutive games. And overall, we came out to 65% winners. We were about 65% on the money, which if you're doing any kind of sports betting or betting in general and you're hitting 65%, you're making some real coin, depending on how much you're putting in. But that's why we do this, because we want to give you big picks and we want to help you out with some free money too. BetUS.com.pa, now an official part of the Sports Carnival, is dishing up free money, 125% deposit match up to $2,500. And I know that Foreman already did the math for us. Yeah, if you deposited $2,500, the free play money that you would have added would give you a whole bunch of cash, over $5,000 in which to play with. And again, you're supporting the program when you're doing this as well. So this is one of the ways, Chad, that you mentioned earlier, that besides listening, besides watching, besides sharing this with your friends, which I really appreciate all of you doing, out there as you're talking to your friends saying, hey, listen, Dave's back on. He's got Chad. They're on the mornings. But the other way that you can support is by going to betus.com.pa and simply doing what you're going to do anyways with your local guy or with whatever, Bovada or some, parlay picks. You name the different site. Do it with us. You don't have to stop what you're doing there, but you're going to do it anyway. So do it with us. Get your free money. And then follow along. We do our daily play, generally put that out on our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney, or TikTok feed, Chad, at the Sports Carney. We're at the Sports Carney across the spectrum. But play along with us. And Kyle Cable can attest, man, we make money. Kyle's made some of our plays and boom, cash them chips.
And that's what it's all about. Now, if anybody cares about Chad's picks, we went over them a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
I'm calling it Chad's picks.
I like this.
I like the Patriots tonight plus the points. I may be completely off on this.
Okay.
And again, I talked about maybe you parlay it and do a little tease on that to get some more points. I mean, I saw it somewhere where you could get it at 4, and I haven't looked at the site at betus.com yet. It's 3.5.
Yeah, it's 3.5.
Yeah, which is basically the same thing.
Basically, except if you, I mean, it's essentially
basically.
The same. Yeah.
And then I like Detroit over the Jags on the money line. I really like the way Detroit's playing. I think the Jags, as you said, coming off that little bit of a high. And I think that Detroit's going to end up beating them. They're at home. So I like that. And then the other game that I like in college, and I may be way off on this, is the Big Ten Championship. And obviously I'm a fan of points. I kind of like Purdue plus 17. Blake Corum, I believe, is still injured for Michigan. And J.J. McCarthy, I'll give it to him. He had a hell of a game against Ohio State, their quarterback. But they really missed Blake Corum, their running back, who's been the star all season long. And I know he's injured. I don't know if he's playing in this game or not. I have to do more research. But when he did try to play in that game against Ohio State, I think he rushed twice and they pulled him. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking that you take Purdue plus the points. I like that.
Yeah, I think that Michigan, because they're in no matter what, right? They're going to not necessarily look to throttle like maybe they would, but that's a tough one for me. Looking at what they did against Ohio State, I don't know. However, you were right on with your call of Michigan plus the points versus Ohio State. You were right on with your prediction of South Carolina covering the spread. It was plus 14 against Clemson. So,
and I didn't expect them to win, though. And I don't expect Purdue to win. Don't get me wrong here.
You don't think they'll lose by 17? I think
it'll be a 2-touchdown game. Yeah,
okay, that's fair. The other thing that you could look to do, Chad, from a strategy perspective, if you like Purdue plus 17 and you like the Patriots plus the 3.5, this is where you can use that 6-point teaser and then juice Purdue to plus 23 and then still take the Patriots plus 9.5, right? So then you've got a 2-team 6-point teaser.
I like that better.
Listen, your payout's going to be about, if you bet $5, you'd win $4.55, probably in that range, or maybe $4. If you bet 5, you'd win about 4 with that particular teaser. And then you can do the math from there. But that would be something that if you're feeling good about both of those plays, but you want to give yourself a little more comfort, a little more wiggle room, then I would look at that. I told you guys over the Thanksgiving weekend, one of the ways that I enjoyed Thanksgiving the most was simply by teasing 3 Thanksgiving games, none of which I actually needed to tease. They all would have covered regardless, but I didn't care because every single game I was breezing through, right? Like every single game I was like, yeah, this is great. We got this one in the bag, baby. So that's the good thing about teaser cards, but it's like all gambling. And this is something to keep in mind. It's like all gambling. It is a gamble and there is a risk. It can always go wrong. So never think that what we say is 100% accurate. It never will be. And, for purposes of clarity too, hypothetically, Kyle has played some of the picks that John and I have put out there. Hypothetically,
we
don't know that that's just He would only do it for educational purposes anyways, if he were to do that, which I doubt he would. So, look, we're never going to be 100%, but the track record that we do have, Chad, is pretty darn good. And I'm not exactly asking people to be, look to us as investment consultants or anything. This is for entertainment purposes only. But this is something that if you follow the show, if you follow the Daily Play, if you follow me on social media, you might end up picking up some free money, hypothetically, of course.
So Kyle's asking to drop a link. So this is right now for what we can do. It's betus.com.pa, and then you're going to put that promo code in, which is Carnival.
Yes.
So that's going to be your best bet to get there and take care of that.
That's right. So you just go to the website. It's super easy, betus.com.pa, and then you see a box that says join. Top right-hand corner, bam, you're there. You put in the promo code, and it's done. It's over. You get 125% deposit match for your sportsbook play. And if you want to play other games on BetUS, Chad, you don't have to just bet sports. BetUS is a full casino. If you want to play live blackjack, if you want to play live poker, if you want to play slot machine games, you can do all of that at BetUS. But for our program and the partnership that we've got with BetUS, you're getting a 125% sports book deposit match. Let's see. Morning Wood back with us. Odds on Graham Mertz, the Wisconsin Badgers quarterback, transferring to Platteville. You know what, man?
I don't know if we can get odds on that.
Ooh, that's a good one, dude. That's a nice shot there at Graham Mertz. I like it. Mertz was fucking horrible this year. Boomstick, Eric from La Crescent was checking in this morning. I want to make sure we get a shout out to Eric from La Crescent. He wasn't able to come last night to the party. Couldn't have won the Bucks tickets anyways. It wouldn't have worked out, he told us. But in talking about the Vikings, because we have Vikings, as one of our plays with John Denton and that total going over the Minnesota Jets game. He said the Vikings D is a sieve, and it is. The Vikings defense is. Here's the thing. It's good enough to get you 9 wins in 11 games, though. That's something that you have to think about. It was good enough to beat the Buffalo Bills at home. You don't need to be. It's kind of like, do you need to be the fastest guy? No, you just need to be faster than the one that's, right behind you. So whatever the Predator does, it eats them. You don't have to have the best defense, but you can't have the worst. And Minnesota, thankfully, doesn't have the worst defense, but it's going to allow for a lot of points. I see New York and Minnesota being a very high-scoring game. Very high.
Speaking of NFC North here, this question I put up earlier, Facebook user, how does one bet on the Bears without knowing if Fields can go or not? Yeah, that's tough. I think when there's injuries like that, sometimes you just stay away from it or do the total, if you like the total. Or pick another game. I mean, the other thing I've always lean towards is stay away from emotional betting. So that's why most people won't bet on their own teams. John Denton being one of those. He will not bet on UNLV.
That's right.
Because he knows better, because he gets too emotionally involved into it. And so if you're a huge Bears fan, you might want to stay away from that one.
Well, and this is why there was a time in which I was trying to conceal one of my plays, Tennessee on the money line versus the Packers, and you just threw me right under that green and gold bus with just a plum, like plop, there you go, because I don't bet emotionally. And that's one of the things that I do try to do as well, is stay away from betting emotionally. Do you know who I will bet on for the most part? Is the Bucks on the spread. I will generally not bet Bucks on the spread. I'll take totals for Milwaukee games. So to answer your question, that's how I would bet Chicago and Green Bay. I would take the under on this one, guys. I really would. I would play the under.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Let me see what the number is, because I have it up here. So hold on just 1 second. I have the number.
And we're referring to the Packer Bears game. Yes.
Yes. The Packers Bears game. I'm playing the under. The total right now is sitting at 43.5. This is a game to play the under on. You can take 43.5 and feel confident that the game is going under. Green Bay's been averaging 18 points a game, and I don't even know what Chicago's been averaging, but it's not a lot. So take the under.
By the way,
going to make a play.
Aaron Rodgers says he's open to sitting if asked to. He's open to. Oh, that's nice. The player's open to possibly the coach or the GM telling him to sit down. He's open to that. Well, that's nice to hear.
So
Thanks for letting us run our team, asshole.
I'm sorry that we didn't have more time for today, guys, but I figured you'd be okay with it because we're going to save it for tomorrow. Chad, we'll be joined tomorrow on the show in a pre-recorded interview by Rich Ryman from the Green Bay Press-Gazette. Rich Ryman writes for the USA Today here in Wisconsin and the Green Bay Press-Gazette over 25 years, multi-time award winner. We'll talk Packers football and what he thinks about Aaron Rodgers being open to possibly sitting out if the organization thinks it's in his best interest. Great show today, guys. Thanks for coming out last night. Congratulations again, Neil Duda, Jackie Miller, Mike Garcia. you were the big winners. We'll be back bright and early tomorrow morning for a Friday edition of the Sports Carnival. See ya.